You know, we hear all the time that our schools need to get students ready for the modern world. But what happens when that world speaks in images and our classrooms are, well, still stuck on the printed page? That's the exact tension we're going to unpack today.
I mean, think about it. It's absolutely everywhere. From your social media feed to the news to how we visualize data, images are right at the center of how we make sense of things. And honestly, understanding all of that takes a whole different set of skills than just reading and writing.
But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Just because we're swimming in visuals all day doesn't mean we actually get them. As Peter Felton pointed out way back in 2008, just seeing images isn't the same thing as having the skills to critically analyze them, to understand their message, and to create your own.
So that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? How do we build that bridge? Well, that's exactly what a fantastic 2019 study from the Journal of Visual Literacy set out to explore. The researchers, Terry Loerts and Christina Belcher, looked at a really powerful tool, the Academic Visual Journal.
Okay, so before we dive into what they've found, we need to get on the same page about this term, visual literacy. Now this goes all the way back to foundational work by Debys in 1969. It's not just about passively looking at a picture. It's about the active work of building knowledge. It's the ability to interpret, to analyze, and, this is the crucial part, to create and use visuals to communicate your own complex ideas. It is absolutely a skill.
So Loerts and Belcher gave this visual journaling assignment to a group of teacher candidates. And you'd think, hey, future teachers, a creative assignment, they'd love it, right? Not quite. The initial reaction was actually a lot of resistance and what the researchers called a state of disequilibrium, a real sense of being off balance.
And you can really see why they felt that way when you look at this. On the left is everything they'd ever been trained to do in academia. Print, print, and more print. Rigid APA style, focused on getting the conventions just right. But on the right was this new world, multimodal, a 50-50 split between images and text. And the goal? It wasn't about a perfect product. It was about showing the process of your thinking. That's a huge, huge shift.
This quote from Renee, one of the teacher candidates, just says it all. You can almost hear the shock in her voice. After years of being drilled that serious academic work is text only, the idea of picking up a pencil to draw felt, well, totally foreign. She said she had to break out of what she called the academia paper mode.
And this early journal entry from another student, Chloe, is the perfect example of that initial mindset. You can see right away the focus is still 100% on the words. The pictures are there, sure, but they're basically just decoration. As Chloe herself said, she was way more comfortable writing out her thoughts first and then kind of sticking some pictures on after. The visuals and the text weren't really working together yet.
But then, something really cool started to happen. That initial discomfort, that feeling of being off balance, it started to give way to a real breakthrough. The students began this incredible transformation, not just in how they saw the assignment, but in how they understood what literacy even means.
Now, the engine that drove this whole transformation is a really powerful concept called transmediation. It's the process of taking meaning from one form, say a super dense academic article, and translating it into a totally different form, like a drawing or a collage. And to do that well, you can't just copy and paste ideas. You have to really, truly understand the core concepts to be able to represent them in a new way.
Let's look at this incredible example from a student named Tia. This isn't just a self-portrait, it's a visual argument. See the growing flowers on the right? That's her showing how students can flourish with all kinds of learning tools. And the wilting flowers on the left? That symbolizes what happens in a strict, print-only classroom. She successfully transmuted these complex educational theories into one powerful image. And here's another one. A student named Sue took on the novel The Glass Castle, and she translated these really abstract themes like resilience and hidden pain into this physical, interactive artifact. She used layered images, quotes, and even these little lift the flap elements to show the difference between how things look on the outside and what's really going on inside. As she said, it wasn't easy, but doing it helped her frame thoughts in deeper ways.
And look, this wasn't just a few standout students. Over the course of their study, the researchers collected more than 170 unique visual journals. This wasn't just another assignment for these students, it became a massive outpouring of deep, intellectual, and creative work.
Okay, so what's the big takeaway here? What does this all mean for how we teach and learn today? Well, the study gives us some really clear, practical ideas for any educator who wants to build a more effective, more modern pedagogy.
The researchers base their approach on this four-part framework from the New London Group. First, you start with situated practice. Basically, connect with what your students already know. Then comes overt instruction. You actually have to teach the language of visuals, like how color can create a mood. Third is critical framing, where you get students to analyze the context. And finally, transformed practice. That's where transmediation comes in, and students create something new.
And I want to be really clear, this kind of approach is not just for art class. Embracing these multiliteracies is a game changer for all kinds of learners. Just think about English as a foreign language, or EFL students. When you're still working on your written English, visuals can be this incredible bridge. They let you express really complex ideas that you might not have the words for yet.
And Tia, the student who made that self-portrait, she saw this potential right away. She realized that for students who struggle with traditional reading and writing, giving them another way to show what they know, drawing, speaking, whatever, it isn't just a fun activity. It's about equity. It's about access to learning.
And in the end, this whole journey for these future teachers was about so much more than a grade. As another candidate, Wendy, put it was about making a personal connection, taking ownership, and feeling real pride in her work. It's that shift from just consuming information to becoming an active designer of meaning.
And that's really the heart of it all. The journey of these teacher candidates shows us that moving from print to picture is so much more than just changing the assignment. It's a fundamental shift that leads to deeper thinking, more ownership, and a more level playing field for all learners. So the question I want to leave you with is right here. How will you empower your students to become designers of meaning?